Welcome back to Unified Reality. In this episode, we'll be talking about experiential marketing with our good friend, Chief Evangelist X, and home team member, Rodrigo Vergara. How are you, my friend?
Man, it's always good to see you guys, man. Always good to come back and be with you guys in the studio, see the advancements of what's going on with GeniusXR and seeing how it evolves every month that I see you guys is crazy.
Every week, right? Like on some generative AI stuff, man.
Same.
Llama 3 just came out. Yeah, we keep going. So today, everyone will be talking about experiential marketing. And why we have our home team member, Rodrigo, here is because he is a brand marketing master chief. I've worked with him on many campaigns. He used to do a lot of stuff for the agency, and now he's head of marketing at...
I'm head of specifically new title actually that I've just received, head of employer branding. So I've almost found like a new niche also. Well, you know, as we all know, recruitment and finding talent is the new frontier for marketing. So yeah, bringing a marketing approach to the human resource team. So yeah, it's kind of a hybrid new role. And you know me and hybrid roles and having things that touch many things at the same time.
Well, you know, the word hybrid also makes me think of unified reality.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, that phygital, that bridge between digital. But coming back to what you were saying, it's interesting. Marketing for employees, meaning that you want to go get the best
talent,
and you have to market.
You have to market yourself as a brand employer, right? As an employer of choice in your city and wherever you are, right? And it's so interesting how we need to look at as employers, for example, yourselves, right? As agency leaders, when you're looking for talent, you have to understand that talent recruitment, consider it kind of like with real estate. I think that's the best parallel to make with real estate. Real estate right now, it's a buyer's market, right? Well, it's an employee's market right now. They have the choice to work wherever they want. So what are they going to choose? The place where they don't feel at home, or are they going to choose a place where they see that there seems to be a cool culture that they can possibly feel that they belong, right? You know, I always used to talk about, you know, the good old Maslow pyramid of needs, right? Our first emotional need is the need to belong. It's why we wear hats with logos on them, right? With our favorite home team, right? We need to feel like we belong somewhere. We need to feel like so employees are looking for employers that showcase their culture, right? And that showcase what they have to offer the best. So yeah, it's an interesting new field in marketing.
I love it.
But yeah, brand strategy, it's always been my thing. It's always been my passion. And I think what's kept guys like us current, as you know, I'm getting in my late 40s, you know, and here we are talking about, you know, the next generation of technology and how it impacts marketing, right? You know, we were talking about marketing before. I mean, we were getting our degrees before Google even existed. You know what I mean? But
so true.
We had to stay current somehow, right? So yeah, that's always been my thing. And you know, as soon as these new exciting technologies of virtual reality started, you know, and augmented reality started popping up, that's how, you know, somehow the universe connected the three of us together. And
I remember with the cardboards, but we'll get to that back. I have a question for you concerning the employees and the culture.
Yeah.
When you're thinking of branding the company, you're always thinking of the culture, right? And how does that work out? Like, do you guys have someone that's specifically for the culture, or is it more something that
it all starts
drips from the top?
It's very similar to doing workshops, right? You guys remember with the kind of workshops that we would do with, for example, a client brand, right? Where you ask them questions about their brand, right? And understanding the essence, the DNA of their brand, right? From values, right? What is it that this brand represents? Who is this brand for? Same thing as we're building these brands. Now we have to consider who's going to want to work for this brand? Who's going to want to have a T-shirt with their company logo on their chest, right? So we have to consider all of that. In the last year and a half, I built a brand that happened to be, based in a specific city in the UK. And that brand just happened to have, that city has their city symbol, and I found a word that was connected to that, and somehow it represented the people in the city, but through the eyes of the world, because I didn't want to be just for example, here in Montreal, 514 marketing. Yeah, okay, that's cool to us, but it's not cool to New York.
So you didn't want to be local, in other words.
Exactly, right? I didn't want to make it sound local. I wanted to make it sound international while still something that comes from them, right? And that's the kind of thinking that we have to put through. But it all starts with asking questions. It all starts with speaking to those brand founders or agency founders, company founders, trying to understand the kind of humans that they are, and then seeing the kind of humans that are going to want to work for them so that we can create, the communication needed to attract them.
That's really well said. On this podcast, obviously it's called Unified Reality, and we always try to unify realities, meaning in our terms, it's digital and physical. Right. But this in itself is also a unified reality.
It's unifying the physical, real reality of what it feels like to work with these humans, yes, and how we communicate it through a digital medium, right? And using... It's crazy how you see brands really showing their people on Instagram, on LinkedIn, doing features on their employees, things that you would have never thought about 10 years ago, right?
It would have been this is not
But
normal.
it's legit, it's 100% content marketing. I'm obviously not reinventing. We're not reinventing any wheel whatsoever here, right? It's just literally bringing principles of marketing 101 and principles of human resources and helping our friends in HR actually communicate what they've built, right? Along with their founders, what they've built. They don't necessarily know how to market that, right? So it's literally like advertising agencies, but for brands whose target audience is not just their clients. That's a different story, right? That's biz dev. No. Employees, people that want to work.
People, our culture, our company, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's great.
It's exciting, man. It's really cool stuff.
And I know we were going to talk about experiential marketing, but to me, this is experiential marketing because you are creating a culture at a company, which is an experience, and employees are attracted to that experience, which is the culture. So it is somehow
we're trying to show what the experience of working at place X feels like, and if this is something that interests you, well, here's the apply button. It just so happens that there's a CTA somewhere.
Apply now.
Join us, right?
Join us.
The
waiting list is waiting for you.
Yeah, hopefully you've got better than apply now as a CTA in 2024. But even that, just the fact. Sorry if I get excited. Even just the fact that we no longer consider apply now as an attractive CTA, right? Just evolution, man, constant evolution of everything. But it all comes down to brand. And as you're saying, let's talk experiential.
Yes. So in today's episode, which is entitled "Beyond the Buzz: Unlocking the Power of Experiential Marketing." All right, so let's deep dive into it and let's see what's up. As you guys know, I am Azad Abbasi, CEO of GeniusXR and founder of UVRSE. We have along us Mr. Rich Destiny in the back, also CTO of GeniusXR and founder of UVRSE as well. And I have my good friend here today, Rodrigo. All right, let's jump into it. So when I say experiential marketing, what is your definition of experiential marketing?
I mean, I think it's a term that's become so broad and oversaid that the general population, like I know that we probably have, marketing professionals listening today, but I think that this is a term that the general population has heard at this point. So I don't think I need to bore anyone with the Harvard Business Review definition of experiential marketing. You can look that up. You can Google it. Essentially, it's the concept of try it to buy it, right? It's the concept of, some kid in a suitcase store, jumping on the suitcase to prove that it's, that it's built that tough because it's a Samsonite, right? So the person buys that suitcase.
Right? Are you making fun of me? Because my dad used to have a luggage store, and I used to jump on the suitcases. Yeah, I know. I'm not even joking.
That was experiential marketing.
Samsonite, you owe me royalties.
But that's experiential marketing in its essence, right?
Like
it's
in the
try
retail.
It before you buy it, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that you used to see a lot more in the retail space. You can sell cars, right? But when you sit down on the car and when you turn and you hear that, or you don't because you're in an electric car, that's what you want. You don't want to hear it, right? Experiencing that is experiential, right? So then there's, throughout history, the history of advertising, there's been, phenomenal examples of that, like the blind taste test, right? A good classic.
Oh my God.
The blind taste test, right? Is it Coke or Pepsi, right?
It's Pepsi.
And then those could be recorded as content that then became campaigns, right? So experiential marketing campaigns that you do on the ground with actual human beings could then be recorded, shown as television ads at the time, right? And then, of course, everything has evolved.
They used to manage field marketing teams. I remember
been there, done that.
The hockey stuff. That's we worked on a few of them together.
That was all
Tennis
experiential.
Canada and all that stuff.
One of the fun things that we used to do, it was a hockey themed NHL tour that I was on, and with Dodge. Shout out to Dodge Caravans. The experience that agency created for this tour would be that we would get dads, hockey dads, right, and their kids, right, and we would put two hockey dads with their kid, and the thing was they had to run through the caravan and dress the kid up in a hockey goalie equipment. If you know what a hockey goalie looks like with all that equipment, that's a lot of equipment to put on, right? So it was fun. It was engaging. It's, people have a good time and they have a positive memory and a positive experience attached to this brand now, right? And This is how we communicate brand, because at the essence of all of this, right, what is the purpose of anything that you do, any budget that you spend, if it's not to communicate what your brand is, who it's for, and why you should buy, right? If you're not communicating that, you're wasting your money.
Yeah, so as I understand, experiential for me, and I think for all of us here, means engagement, right? So you properly explained it, creating that memory where you could then have the emotion towards the brand. And this brand could definitely make you feel emotions, right? Because like you said, if you go somewhere, you're a dad, you have to find the goalie stuff, and CCM's logo is kind of there, right?
All over the place.
It's kind of imprinted there, and you're going to buy it. Whether, you like the brand or not.
But the fun part about the Dodge Caravan was to showcase the stowaway seats, right?
I remember.
You could put the seats down, right, and then pop them back up, right? So you had to put them down so that you could, anyways.
And
long story short,
us pitching the the agency for VR and AR and different types of experientials. I think out of all the pitches we did, the first one that we actually got was when we went to Startup Fest, and you and me were just busy, and then Richard comes with someone, and he's like, I think this person wants to buy something.
Out of nowhere. It's like, someone talk to this person. Yeah. Which, you know what? To all young or starting entrepreneurs, starting agency founders, brand founders, product founders out there, hopefully you surround yourselves with a great team and great teammates around you, so that when a situation happens, if some people are just not the talkers, some people are the talkers, as you can see right now, right? I do a lot of talking. Some people, that's not their strength, right? Shout out to a CTO being humble enough to understand that I know that I've got a prospect here. I'm not a sales guy. Let's go get the bald guy. He's good at talking for 5 hours. He's going to charm the pants off of this person and get the sale. And we did. And that's the power of team, right? So, yeah, just wanted to, little shout out.
Shout out to Desjardins, even to my boy Ova. I remember when we went there, the guy was like, we work with Ova VR. And I was like, I don't know them, but I've heard of them, and they're my boys. I was just talking to Azad, I think 2 days ago.
Such a cool dude. Such a great product also that they've built and that
3D
they
simulations. We're going to have him on soon, so we'll get to talk about all that.
Amazing.
So just to recap on experiential marketing. So the core elements that we know are basically creating an experience where you're creating emotions, where there's engagement and emotions toward the brand.
It's brand communication. Right. It all comes down to brand communication. You're trying to communicate what your brand is and create, like you said, this is where you start creating that emotional bond, right? So where you're taking them to, marketing 101, the funnel from brand awareness, and you bring them down to trying and, starting to engage with the product until they can hopefully become, a brand ambassador. Usually you can't bring someone from brand awareness, meaning they just become aware of your brand, to immediately becoming an ambassador, but through successful experiential campaigns, that's something that actually could get, a little bit of a light speed fast forward, right?
It involves all aspects, right? Once you are aware of the brand, the second thing, if you could try it and touch it.
If you're able to involve the different senses, right?
Yes.
Touch it, smell it, possibly taste it, right?
And what does that do? It creates that engagement.
Memories.
You might share it also with your friends.
Exactly.
Word of mouth, and then social media, and the buzz continues.
And now you're touching on something else, which is I don't want to say the new aspect, because it's not like social media is a new aspect, but in terms of the evolution of, right? In terms of the evolution of coming to today, so that we could start talking a little bit more about the new technologies, right, that are available, is was the advent of these, super powered computers that we happen to carry in our hands and in our pockets that give us access to the world, right? Where now, like I was saying earlier, the sense of belonging can be increased by you creating your own content about this experience that you're having with the brand and sharing it, right? Where now you are becoming an ambassador of the product.
Yes.
Right? So we're getting you to that part of the funnel faster through these experiences.
Yes, totally. I totally agree. And I'd like to take it even further to say that we're at a point now in unified reality.
Yes.
What we're seeing and what we know is going to happen is that, yes, what you just described, content, and you become a brand ambassador just by creating content for the brand, right? Even if it's not directly and you're not getting paid, just by posting something. But now, when I say experiential, I want it to be more than just you're part of our campaign. I want you to, like you said, try it and touch it, but bringing both of the worlds in a better place. What do I mean by that? Meaning that the digital content that's there available and the real life that's also there. Let's just say an example is there's a Nike, page on YouTube or on IG, and you follow the Nike page. Nike tells you, hashtag your shoes, you might win a contest.
I'm interested.
That's really cool, but I'm always interested. I already made the hashtag. It's already there.
Shout out to Nike.
But now let's say, how do we take that further? Well, further would be, what if we were to create a campaign where you're invited to an event? At the event, there's Nike designers. You get to meet them. You get to design a shoe with them. And eventually that shoe maybe is available for you in a digital format where you could create content with it. So now we went from digital to real, back to digital, and back to real, because you're eventually going to buy the real shoe.
Right.
And we see this a lot. So that's the shift that I'm seeing and that I want to talk about with you a little bit.
You know what?
But before we go to the future, I don't want to...
No, because I want to share possibly the best example.
Go ahead.
In a big scale of exactly
That's what I was
going to
ask you. Go ahead.
First of all, as a Latino, I have to always, speak a little bit of my people whenever I have a chance. And there's a gentleman by the name of Fernando Machado who for many, many years, he just left this role, but for, I don't know, almost a decade, I don't know his bio by heart. He was the CMO of Burger King, essentially, right? Just feisty ideas. Like, this is the guy behind, having the cojones, right, to put out campaigns like the Moldy Burger campaign.
I love that.
Right? That just phenomenal, just absolute brilliance. The idea of making it very clear that of what your brand positioning is, first of all, because what is your position within the market, right? They are the challenger brand, right? They recognize McDonald's as the market leader, and they are the challenger brand that's punching up against their competition, right? So much so that, since I was talking about employer branding earlier, this positioning of challenger brand, Burger King pushes it so far that it goes all the way down to their human resource tagline. Do you guys know what the Burger King human resource tagline is?
No, well, tell me.
Why would you work for a clown when you could work for a king? It's like, so good, man. Phenomenal. It's brilliant, so right?
Good.
So now they decide that they want to put together a campaign to hit their number one marketing target of the year, which is increase the amount of downloads. Their second KPI is increase our social media reach, right? So that's the problem that the marketing side of Burger King has to solve for a year. I can't remember, 2019, 2020. I can't remember when it was. 2019. So what do? Is they decide to put together a campaign that is based on augmented reality, right? An augmented reality-based campaign. And this is what they do. They ask you to download the Burger King app, and whenever you come up to their challenger, a McDonald's billboard, thank you, turn on the app, point the camera, and what the app would do is it would basically generate an image through augmented reality on the person's screen of the McDonald's billboard going up in flames, flame broiled, right? Again, brand mention, right? Going up in flames to reveal a Whopper ad. And if you would share this content that was just created on your phone through your social media, what would you get? Well, you would get a free Whopper, right? So from A to Z, just the perfect
That campaign was phenomenal,
just
to be honest.
For me, like
how viral was it too, right? Like it was viral on LinkedIn. Imagine.
They accomplished every single goal that they were given that year, right? As marketers, they were told for our number one goal is to increase app downloads. Done. Social media increase, the hockey stick on screen, share of space, share of the ownership of hashtags. They were just trending on Twitter, X now, trending on Twitter at the time, trending on Instagram, obviously. And yeah, Facebook also, because
it was viral.
Exists, right?
And it was a beautiful campaign, to be honest.
Phenomenal.
And the use of AR, right? The fact that they used augmented reality, that was beautiful.
Without and this was
without forcing it, right?
Without forcing it. Thank you. You literally took the words out of my mouth without making it into so much of a techie thing, which this is where
we have issues.
A lot of people get in their own way, right? And this is something I'll shout out to Scott, my boss, who always talks shit about designers getting in their own way, right? Why so much scrolling for me to see the fucking information that I want to get to, right? Which, you know what? He's right? So UI UX it a little bit, you know what I mean? So same thing, we see all of this technology, and what's that quote from Jurassic Park? It's not because you have the technology that you have to use it, right? Sometimes there's overkill, but when used purposefully, what you can get out of augmented or virtual reality is just stupid. It's just
if you understand how to use it. If you
understand how to use it, if you don't overkill it, if you don't use it as a gimmick.
The problem with these technologies, and especially in the last 10 years, is that they become like hype words.
Yeah.
And startups or companies pivot to these hype words without even knowing what it is. And sometimes they have funds or good salespeople that could go and sell it, but they can't deliver it. So that's a good part of a lot of bad comments about AR or VR comes from agencies, designers, brands that don't know what the technology is and how to use it, right? They don't go see the right people. And the right people like me, you, Rich, we're crazy. Like, we're busy. I don't have time to come to explain to you what AR is if you don't know what it is. I'm a techie, right? But we had to learn all of these things. That was 10 years ago. Today, I'll sit with you and I'll explain to you. Obviously, I'll charge you a big amount for that. But I'll explain everything and tell you exactly how to use it. Like Rich, you were referring to that quote, and Rich always used to say it, right? He still says it. Like, why would we use nuclear bombs when we could use C4 or a simple grenade or a bullet, right? You have to know what tool to use when, and the one that's going to give you the highest ROI and the best KPIs, obviously.
Why do I have a hammer in my hands if I've got a screw in my other hand? You know what I mean?
Like,
just
what are we
use
doing?
The right tool. So,
to recap Burger King, like, what was the best part that you liked? The fact that they used AR and that it was very viral, and that they had like key KPIs, and they got all of them. To me,
that was the highlight. To me, that was the highlight. It wasn't even the use of the technology. To me, that was like pouring tons of gravy on a good poutine, right?
Shout out to poutine.
It was the fact that there was a purpose for it, right? It wasn't just a campaign to say, hey, we're going to use augmented reality. Ha, ha, ha. Let's try to win an award.
Yeah,
right?
Well, we've seen this so many times.
It's not that. It wasn't that. You could see that there was a clear purpose behind it, right? It was very, very clear from the outside looking in. You could see what the strategy or what the request from the people with dollar signs and Excel spreadsheets was.
You could see that
we need to increase our app downloads. We need to increase our social media presence. That's exactly what they accomplished.
And whether it went from one side to the other, like meaning that someone's like, we have to use AR, and they came up with a great idea, or the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, I want to burn their ads. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to make a filter where it burns. Yeah. It's like, how else could you actually do this?
Just no other technology would have been able to accomplish what this specific campaign was able to accomplish, thanks to this technology, right? But at first, it had to be, what is the problem that we need to solve, right? Because it always has to come back down to
well, it's always sales, obviously.
Right?
We want more money.
We want more money. We need to increase X, right? So we need to increase X. Let's do.
So you did say that it wasn't about winning an award and it wasn't about the tech. But now, me being the tech guy, what is the role of tech in experiential? Like, how much tech do you need? Do you need to have tech? And I think we kind of answered it. You kind of said it. It depends what you're doing, right?
Everything depends on. I mean, look.
But let's say for VR and AR, because that's what we do.
I've got a cup of coffee.
Need to use it?
I got a cup of coffee in my hands, right? If I want to make you, taste a certain type of coffee or something like that, how much technology do I need, right, to get the message across, right? Now, there is an interesting way to use technology to actually showcase something like this, and I'll draw a parallel with something that was done with a wine company, right? Where, virtual reality experience, right? That was recorded in 360 degrees, right? Where you have basically a visit with the sommelier showing you the different types of fertile grounds that we're using. And while the person has that in their headset, you make them smell, the earth from the region of, I don't know, Tuscany, you know what I mean? Just to say,
actually, what was the region, Richard?
Was it
Maybe
possibly?
you could tell us?
Yeah, I can't remember what that was, right? But the idea was make them feel like you are transporting them to the origin of where this product comes from, right? So you could feel that you have been transported into another place. Now, that's why you use technology, right? All the words that I just used right now, right, in my little storytelling mode, marketing storytelling guy, right, mode that I just got in, those are all the keywords of why you use the technology, because these technologies allow you to transport your audience, to transport the user, to transport the visitor, the person who's living this physical real life experience through technology, whether it's phone, headset. You can take them away from where they are right now into a different world where they can live your product.
In other words, you can make them feel something different
that they've never felt before.
And that emotion is going to be attached to the brand
forever.
Or the experience, right?
Forever.
And so in this case, what we had done was the wine was made in France, so it was a drone visit in VR and all that stuff, and then they would taste it. You just brought me back to 5-6 years ago.
Just a couple of just good use cases of how these technologies can work. Another great experiential campaign using VR that we put together, if you remember, with the new super hospital being built here in Montreal. So new super hospital being built. It's in construction. The mayor is just doing the cutting of the ribbon stuff, and we're going to be able to open in 6 months, and that's when 6 months before opening the hospital, we get a call from the administrator saying we will not have enough nurses to as a workforce for this hospital. So we're having a little bit of a panic. We need to have a very, very strong recruitment campaign at this convention, basically, where all of the newly graduated nurses are essentially looking for work, right? So it's every single job opportunity in the province of Quebec is at this place. So you're fighting against every possible employer in the same roof. It doesn't really get any more aggressive in terms of recruiting than that situation.
And everybody has a 10x10 booth with a banner,
and everyone's fighting for the exact same thing, the talent, right? Like I was saying earlier, the talent that's in the room, right? And they all have their little nurses are so stressed out, so let's give them the little squishy because it's branded with my thing and pamphlets and this and that.
Just reminded me that I was stressed.
Exactly. And this hospital, because it wasn't open yet, couldn't, you couldn't visit it. You couldn't actually,
and it was a super hospital, crazy big. Just to do the full tour is about 3 hours.
3 hours, all the new technology, all the latest things. It was literally when it was going to open its doors, it was going to be, well, it was at the time, because now there's a new one that's opened, the most technologically advanced hospital in Canada. So all that being said, somewhere where you think, hey, I might want to work there or not. But if you haven't seen it yet, if you don't know, again, human beings.
It's scary.
Human emotions. You don't know. You're scared of what you don't know, right? So we came up with the idea of having, again, like a virtual visit that wasn't CAD. It wasn't 3D. It was an actual 360, 4K recording that you could sit and let me just take a quick step back. So while every other 30 some other booths are basically handing out, little coffee mugs and little things with their little brand on it, this super hospital that had not opened yet had 4 or 5, actually I believe those are the chairs, 4 or 5 little rotating chairs with Samsung headsets and
with the S8.
Oh my God, yeah, with the S8s, like that's how long ago, right? And they were getting a visit. The lineups that we had were ridiculous. They collected, this hospital collected what? I think double the applications that they had of their peak year.
They had a really good ROI, and a few months later they called us back and said, hey, now we want to use your tech to hire surgeons.
Yeah.
So we did like this little surgery simulation.
That's so cool, man.
You could walk in.
That's
really
so cool because but I think was it you, Rich? I think you were saying like it all AR VR all comes down to 3 use cases, right? Entertainment, education, and product.
E-commerce and all that,
right?
So essentially, it's kind of everything, right? I know we love VR and AR, but technology is more than just that, right? So let's say touch screens, LED screens, projectors, lights, smoke shows. These are all types, even if they're old, right?
It's just tools.
We still use these. Another example of things that we use is RFID. RFID is like 80 years old in terms of technology. Some of our friends at Connect and Go, they make bracelets where it could create a light show. And the light show is super old in terms of tech. Like you're in the crowd and you have this bracelet, and there's a radio frequency that's shooted to your
the Connect and Go experiences
or PixMob or any. There's a few of these. And why I'm shouting out the Connect and Go is because we're friends with them. We work with them.
Shout out.
But yeah, so tech could be so complicated. Our job is to make it super simple and to talk to marketers, basically. First, my goal when I'm talking to a marketer is, well, what is it that you want to achieve, right? What is your ROI, and what are your KPIs? How are you measuring this?
What are we trying to do here? Right?
And what I keep seeing a lot now, and you know it better than me because that's what you do. Brands asking us, hey, we want something where it is extremely engaging and it is social. Because now most of the dollars go to social media, right? And now social media is changing again. The influencers, the content creators, the
What's
media
gonna happen
buy
with
itself.
the TikTok ban also now.
We're going to have another episode on that. We'll get to it.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah, like generative AI. Is it going to change everything? Yes, it is.
I just saw today the first full-length music video created 100%. I think it was Sora. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, Sora.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
a little soulless, if you ask me, like very, very, very like straightforward compared to.
Give it a few years.
Exactly. But that's it. But that's because it's now. And it's the first one. It's the first of anything really impressive. I mean, what was the first movie?
Right,
it was the horse.
Black and white.
It was the little black and white, little horsey. Ooh, a little horse galloping. Right,
and there was no audio.
It was impressive back then, though, and there was no audio.
So just recapping on the tech, meaning that basically it's not, you don't need to bombard your crowd with tech, but if we come back to what's being really asked from us, from our agencies and brands, is how can we create engagement at an event, right? And that's what we call experiential. So I'll give you a super simple example of something that we're working on right now, and you're also part of it. So, and I know you gave us some ideas. A car company, they are sponsoring a series of festivals, and they want to promote their car. So usually we've seen this everywhere. Well, you see a car either on stage, next to the stage, and okay, you could go sit in it and you could try it out. Now, that's cool. We've seen it a bunch of times. We're not impressed anymore. We want more. So this new campaign that we're doing with a brand it's a nice brand, and the campaign is really cool. It's basically what we do is we put you in the creator's seat. How do we do that? So we know that if you create with the brand, you feel much closer to the brand. So example, what we do is we have the car and we have a touch screen. See, a touch screen is not new. It's old. It's stuff that everybody's seen. But in this instance, we have the car, the touch screen. What do you do on the touch screen? You create your version of the car. Mm-hmm. And the version of the car is from the designs of the event. So let's say you're at the Jazz Fest.
Right.
And there's a car. Now you want to design your car. Well, it's going to have a jazz theme because you're at the Jazz Fest. And then what do? You go into this little booth where we have a bunch of cameras and it takes pictures of you. And then it creates a cartoon avatar of you and places you in the car. And AI creates a 30-second video. And then you get this video and you share it. So now you saw the car, you created your version of the car, then you went into this 3D scanner and got your mind blown because you're like, what is all this? And then you get this video that you could share, right? So this is a very simple example of something.
And what's interesting about what you just talked about, there's nothing new.
Right?
There's nothing new. It's just using newer, edgier technologies.
Or you said it before, UI, UX, right?
It's just UI, UX saying it's just a new UI, UX. But really, it's just, okay, so every time there's a little advancement in technology, how can I take advantage of that to do things that, again, you don't always have to invent the wheel. The wheel exists already, right? Every year, every wheel manufacturer somehow creates a new wheel and puts it out there, right? So, so at the end of the day, marketing is marketing, advertising is advertising. We're not necessarily creating the wheel. So it's just, again, I'll just come to using the right tech at the right time, right?
Yeah.
So there is not a single step in the process that the user is going to live within that experience that you've created for this car manufacturer that gets in the way of the user being directly involved, directly engaged, which hits your number one KPI, right? Directly engaged with the brand because they're creating it. It doesn't get, you literally have your hands in it. You know what I mean? Like you're baking that cake. You know what I mean? Like it's yours.
And
then it's yours, and that's that. It feels unique. Yeah, it's yours.
Unique. It's yours. You're part of the creative energy.
You can. No one's gonna share an ad. You know what I mean?
Who does that, right?
Okay, me, because I'm a nerd.
Yeah. We're marketing. We right? love those things,
like the layperson is not going to share an ad, but they will if they're in it.
Yes, if they're part of it. So now,
that's all. That's all it is that you did differently. It's basically that photo in the splash park. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what
right?
I was going to say.
But it's just the 2024 version, thanks to AI, right? By using the right tools at the right time. That's all. If there's one message today that I can share with my fellow marketers, right tool, right time. Use it intelligently.
Yes.
Use it purposefully. Don't get in the way of me, the user, the client, your audience from drinking their coffee.
Yeah, love coffee.
Add to it a little bit if you can, but don't get in the way, right? There's a difference between adding to the experience and literally getting in the way.
Remember when we used to say, like, is that website user-friendly? So make it user-friendly, right? Meaning that the UX, the user experience, needs to be very well thought of, and because that's what you're offering to your future clients. Now, I want to recap this show. I know we talked a lot, and we could go for on and on and on.
Hours.
I go to some meetings sometimes, and I tell them, hey, experiential marketing, they tell me yes. I say activations, they say yes. And I tell them, what does it mean? And they have no clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So activation, guys, is the same as experiential. What do we do with activations? Is that we're activating your future clients, right? It's not that hard to understand. It's an activity. It's an experience. What do you think of what I just said? Like, because I wanted to clarify for some of you marketers out there that supposedly know what it means, but you don't. So this is what it means. It means to activate your future client. Anything you want to add? Any ideas or any future trends that we should be looking out for?
Just play with AI, Just,
and also,
try it out.
We forgot to say storytelling, right?
Yeah.
It's very important to tell your story.
Just to communicate your what the hell you're all about as a brand, right?
Yeah, we started the show by telling us what you do, right? And that's
few stories.
Exactly what needs to be done.
Yeah.
The culture of the company needs to be part of the experience and part of the activations.
Yeah. So, final word, if you wish. Stay current. Try things, sometimes things will get hyped and it doesn't always work out. Threads, so
VR,
or sometimes or the metaverse. Shout out to NFT. ruining everything. That's my opinion for another day. Again,
we're gonna come back to that.
I think it tarnished the image a little bit of the metaverse because it's all interlinked somehow. Blade Runner 2049 reference there, interlinked. But yeah. Final thing, stay current. If you can take it from gray, bearded, bald guy, try new things, experiment, stay current, never be afraid of using new tech. But most importantly, it's not about the tech. It's about the brand. It's about the story that you're trying to communicate to your user, so that they can start developing, hopefully, if we get lucky, all the cards are aligned properly, an emotional bond with your brand. Ultimately, that's what we're all trying to accomplish. Create that little bit of a, why does Rodrigo only wear Nike? There's an emotional bond with the brand that was created many, many years ago through a story. Some bald guy wearing number 23.
Same here.
Just doing incredible things with a basketball, and and then there, and the Bo Jackson stuff, and the all that stuff, right? Like
the stories, right?
The story, and then it became Checks Over Stripes, and now I'll find really cool, sneakers from other brands, but it's almost like I can't. It's like it's an allergy. It's an allergy, and I don't know why. I hate myself because I know it's brand.
Yeah.
And I know that I fell for it, right? I know that I fell for it. I fell for the brand thing. But hey,
and sometimes I'm even surprised myself. I'm like I just told myself, Adidas is probably not comfortable. I'm like, how do you know?
How would you say something like that? Why would you say something like that? Right? So controversial and yet so right.
Yes. Yes. We love Nike. Okay, so recapping the show, you said some very good things. And like you said, technology, yes, innovative technology, but your
don't
brand,
get in the way.
your culture.
Just don't get in the way, right?
The UX is very important, how your user interacts, right? So for today's episode, as a homework for you all, I'd like for you guys to think, what kind of experiential marketing would you like to experience? If you're an entrepreneur, what kind of experiential marketing would you do for your brand? Anything else that you would add, Rodrigo?
You know what? Rather than what kind of, if you will
course.
permit.
This is teamwork.
Slight little adjustment in the homework. Remember your favorite brand experience? Recall every single detail of what that experience was all about. Write it down, and then try to reverse engineer it. Try to consider what were the KPIs that they were trying to tick off, right? What were the things that they needed to do with that experience that made you feel feelings, right? So something that you remember, go back to your own memories, right? Source your own memories, and then use that on your brand.
Those are wise words from a wise man, from a wise team, the home team, GeniusXR, unified reality. We shall see you soon in the metaverse.